Welcome to ScholarsByte, a talk show with researchers. I'm your host, Amrita Panjwani, founder of Simplified Statistics. And today on this talk show, we have a very special guest. She pursued her research in statistics in the year 1991, and presently she's a professor of statistics and research methods at Right Angles Educators. A warm welcome to Dr. Laura Roberts.
Thank you so much, Amrita, for that nice welcome, that nice introduction. And let me also say to you, thanks so much for launching this whole series because we're of like mind. I think it's so important to reach out to people, talk to them about statistics. And if you told me when I was a little girl that I would be an evangelist for simplified statistics, I would have said you're nuts. But it's just so true. And it's just great that you have a company called Simplified Statistics. And I want to support that. I've been doing this for many years, and I see the great need for it, especially right now. Like in the U.S., there is a lot of mistrust of statistics and of science in general. And we didn't mistrust statistics when we came up with the vaccine for polio. And I think the only way we're going to get through our current health crisis is if people wake up and say, we need science, we need statistics. It's trustworthy. People need to learn to trust. I think some of the trust has eroded over the years because people hate math, they fear statistics, and that has somehow turned into a mistrust. And we just need to reverse the course because it's all about science, it's all about research, and it's all about statistics right now. And that's going to, if we change that trajectory, move on this new trajectory, it's going to be a really positive thing. So thank you for doing this. It's
that's
great,
so kind of you. But I totally agree that the way you said that there has to be a need, and it's the moment where that need has been created actually, and people are really practically able to see that where the numbers actually help you and how they help you decide what should be the future course of action. So I totally agree that statistics is the need of hour, and I really appreciate your efforts also in the same field.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's great to meet someone of like mind.
So true. So let's start with a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, well, I live in a tiny little island, on a tiny island at the southern tip of New Jersey. It's called Cape May, and we are the birding capital of the East Coast in the U.S.
Great.
My husband and I are, I guess what you would call bird nerds. We're out on the paths every day, photographing birds and learning all about the birds. We've been here for about 3 years, so we're kind of new to this. There's so many experts around here in birds that we're learning from. We have a son and a daughter. Son lives here with us, and my daughter lives in London. Yeah, we're just, out on the paths a lot, doing a lot of photography, enjoying our children. So yeah, it's a good life.
Glad to know that it's a good life, and being blessed is the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
That's great. Let me know what was your research related to?
That was all about how can we develop the skills needed to become effective doctoral student mentors. And the results showed that it's all about compassionate candor. So it's that combination. You have to be honest. The candor has to be there. And a lot of times students come to me, I look at what they've read and I said, you know what, this is not ready for prime time. You have to do a lot more work to get this dissertation up to snuff where it needs to be in order for you to pass your defense. So I have to give them that message. That's hurtful sometimes to students. That's not what they wanted to hear.
Right.
So before I do that, I have to set the table. I have to establish the trust with compassion. Let them know I'm on your side. I'm here to help you and support you. and give them confidence that I believe in them. So once I establish that trust relationship, then I can give them all the critical feedback that they need. Critical being feedback that it may not feel so good in the beginning because it means they have to do something over, they have to change something, or something they did wasn't right. But critical in the sense that it's so important that they change these things, and that's what's going to make it uh, that's what's going to make it fly. That's what's going to get them,
Right.
you know, get the dissertation out the door so they can walk up on that podium and get the degree.
Right.
So it's compassion and it's candor, and it's in that order. You use the compassion to establish
So,
trust, and then they're welcome for your critical feedback, for your helpful feedback, to so that they know what they need to change to pass.
I think that's a very great area that you've chosen to research, because if this actually gets done in practical world, it would really help a lot of aspiring scholars, and they would learn the skills rather than outsourcing it, I would say. Because I've seen a trend that when something scares you, you rather than putting it on your own, you try to outsource it and get the work done by somebody else, so you do not actually get the skill in you yourself. And
Right,
once, as a researcher, if you do not have the analysis skill, the entire point of getting the degree fails there itself.
right. And they can't pass through their defense because their committee is going to ask them to explain why you did that test. What does the
Right.
result of this test mean? What does that what it's significant? What does that mean? How do I understand significance? And so they need to be able to clearly explain to their committee what they how they tested, what they found, and then of course, what are the practical implications?
Exactly. That's so very important. So, were there any challenges during your research that you faced?
Oh, it's just so it's just such a big part of my life, is this whole fear of statistics. So many students that I've talked to, they just hate math, so they hate statistics
Oh,
by association, and
true.
they fear them, and so then they don't trust them, and so that has always been a huge hurdle and a challenge for me throughout all of my research, through my whole career, is just
Okay.
cajoling people, persuading them, pulling them along. This is trustworthy. These numbers that we're looking at, they're telling us a story. When you do your dissertation, you have this burning question that's so exciting to you. And then, you have to use numbers to tell your story. And so they have all these powerful stories to tell. It's right there in the numbers. And until they feel that in their heart, they're not going to be able to get that story across convincingly. They have to have an appreciation for what those numbers tell them. They have to have an appreciation for, what is a well-designed questionnaire? What is a well-designed survey? What is a well-designed sampling method? They need to internalize what the numbers mean, what the tests mean.
Right, exactly. So, how does it happen? Like, how do you overcome this challenge? Like, I can understand that why students get scared of the numbers part, or how they are reluctant to learn that new skill. So, how do you overcome that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Amrita, you are doing exactly what needs to be done to get over
Okay.
the fear and the mistrust, because people see your face, they go, oh my God, she's so beautiful, she's so smart, and she's telling these, she's interviewing people who are passionate about science and research methods and statistics, and she's giving people an opportunity to really, we have to sell it. We have to be evangelists for
Right.
this way of looking at the world. And so people like you who see the need and then, make pull things together so that the message can get out. That's what we're doing. So
Okay,
that's
that's a
what we're doing
great
right
point
now.
made here. That's a
Yeah.
very good point made here, because even I feel that at times when we interact with uh, students who are scared of mathematics, or say who are scared of numbers, there is reluctancy to even try to put an effort to even understand that concept. There are many who would really try to put in an effort and try to understand the concept and the logic behind it, and would be able to finally come up to the conclusion. But there are some who are pretty much reluctant about it. So I believe that if things are put on the table in a much simpler manner which connects
Right.
to them,
Mhm.
maybe that helps them. And the ultimate point is to be able to see the scenario as we see it from our mindset. So it is very important to present it to them in a manner that they can actually understand, because
Absolutely.
speaking the bookish language or speaking at a higher level would, or will never be able to finish that gap that is there. And this knowledge gap can be only removed once the things are put in a manner that they can actually see. It is like matching their visibility or matching their frequency, I would say.
Exactly, exactly. And that I recently published two digital courses on,
Okay.
it's called Stress-Free Statistics.
Okay.
And the whole point of it is to take the anxiety out of statistics. And there's lots of pedagogy around that. You know, I present it with humor. I present it with artwork, with stories. I
Right.
present it with compassion. When they listen to the videos, the video tutorials, they can hear in my voice that I care about them learning this. And so there's so much in pedagogy that can be used to take away
Exactly.
people's fear.
That's so true. We can put it in a manner that can be easily understandable. The way you said, if we put it in something artistic, it can connect to some people who are really good in art. So it
Right.
really clicks them very quickly. Then putting it in a lighter tone or with a good sense of humor, that students feel, oh, I didn't realize that I was learning something. And they would find it more fun to do. So that creates that likability and acceptability for the subject, I believe.
You said the right word, Amrita. It's fun. And
True.
I think if we work hard enough, we can convince students that it's fun and just,
Exactly.
put a little pizzazz into it.
True.
Because people are so accustomed to, learning things online with that
Yes,
element of fun and pizzazz. We've really
exactly.
become socialized that way. Statistics can have pizzazz. They
Yes,
really can. Yeah.
that's absolutely correct. I can totally connect to your point. So, coming to the next part, like when you pursued your research, what would be your achievements throughout your career due to your research? How would you define your achievements here?
Well, they kind of worked hand in hand because the more that I studied how to be an effective mentor, I was like teaching myself. Then I figured out, oh, I can do these. I can use these methodologies in my own teaching practice. And I started out with a qualitative study where
Okay.
I had nominations of excellent mentors around the world, and I had 21 excellent mentors that I interviewed for like about an hour interview, and
Okay.
just basically said to them, I was trying to like, you know, trying to tap into what is it that you're doing that's so successful.
Right.
What's the secret sauce?
Right.
um, because somebody nominated you as a top, mentor, and I could see by their success rate. I could see by the number of publications that their students were doing. I could see by the percentage of students they had that were graduating. Because in the U.S., only half the people who start a doctorate finish. And so these people that
Okay.
I interviewed had like 80 or 90% successful. So I knew they were
That's
doing
wonderful. Right.
something
Exactly.
unusual. So, and that's where they told me, you have to be honest with your students.
True.
You have to be, um, you have to let them know that you want them to succeed.
True.
Um, and of course, you have to be competent. You have to know what you're talking about. Well, that's just kind of
True.
like a given. Everybody knows that. But I think it was the honesty and how to give bad news in a way that they can hear it without getting defensive.
Right.
When I say bad news, that thing we talked about before, that
Yes.
ready
The
for prime
problem
time.
points, the pain points, and
Yeah, you got to get a different sample. You made some mistakes with your sampling methodology, so all of that is it's hard for them to hear.
True.
But that's been the main thing with my research, was just talking to these experts, tapping, picking their brains, and then following that up with a quantitative study. So I tested, I paired them up. I had mentors and proteges being the doctoral student,
Okay.
working together.
Hmm.
And so I asked them, I asked the protege to evaluate their mentor. And then I asked the mentor to evaluate him or herself. So I had this pairing, and I could
Okay.
see that the mentors who were better at compassionate candor were the ones who were having more successful students. So it was an empirical conclusion. It was based
True.
on data. Because when I
Right.
first found this in the qualitative research, I thought, am I just imagining this? Am I like
Right.
projecting? Am I just pulling out of the data the things that I want to see? So that was a danger. I think with
True.
objective science, that's a danger every time we pull information out of qualitative data. So I said, well, I'm going to have to test this empirically. And then when I
Good.
tested it empirically and the data were consistent with the theory, I'm like, this
Wow.
this makes sense.
True, true. That's a wonderful way, the way you proceeded. First, you understood the qualitative part. First, you understood the behavioral aspect. You interacted with each one of them, giving time to them and taking pain to understand their perspective and what was the ingredient, what made them successful. And later on, to assure or to confirm what you found, you conducted a quantitative analysis of the same thing. That, I mean, is something out of the box for me to hear.
That's good. That's great.
But that's been very creative on your side.
Thank you so much.
So, moving ahead to the last question, what would be your final message to the aspiring scholars?
Well, this is a really important question, Amrita, and one that I really want to make as strong a point as I can. It's about the young girls coming up. Oh my goodness, we have broken through the glass ceiling in the US. We now have a vice president-elect who is a woman of color.
True.
We have so many brilliant young women who can who can be whatever they want to be. They can be scientists, they can be mathematicians, they can be president of the United States one day. I'm
True.
sure we're going to move in that direction as well. The two female Nobel Prize winners in chemistry this year. So that's my most important message that I hope the young women who will be able to see this interview can take away, is I just want to inspire them, encourage them, and just let them know that you are so valued, you are prized, your mind is so important, and it's your mind that is going to bring us the solutions to the biggest problems that we face um, as human beings. The biggest problems that we face, it's your mind that we need to solve those problems, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it. We're all counting on you. And so just inspiring those young women to be mathematicians, be scientists, be chemists, be
True.
social scientists, um, be doctors, be nurses, be anything that you want to
That
be.
you want.
Don't let
True.
any barriers, don't let any sexism hold you back. Challenge those people who want to throw that barrier in front of you. Just say, you're wrong, and I'm going right over that barrier.
True.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the most sweetest and motivational message I've heard today. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Laura.
Oh, thank you so much, Amrita.